I remember, I forgot to mention, this is the first movie I've ever been inside.
I'm sorry, what?
Your Honor, strike that for the record. Don't say you've been inside it. I wasn't a date so much, but like we were on an app and I was like, Jurassic Park, show me your compy pics. Welcome to Your Inner Child is an Idiot, the podcast where we look back on our childhood and wonder if anything was good to begin with. My name is Damon. I think that was 85% of the introduction, mostly.
If anything was good.
Look, I'm in an existential place right now.
We're not doing well.
And that person talking, of course, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm DJ.
And we have a special guest today.
Brrr, that's my
we have Professor of Biology from DePaul University. Dana Duddle is joining us. Hello. Dr. Dana Duddle.
Dr. Dana Duddle.
Yeah, sorry.
Get it right.
We don't usually have titles that we need to include.
Thank you for being here, Dana.
Thank you for coming.
I'm super excited, as you can see.
And today we are talking about 1994's?
3.
Oh, is it 3?
Famously 1993.
Famously 1993.
In my life.
You're probably wondering why we have a biologist on at all, because we're talking about 1993's Jurassic Park, directed by no-name Steven Spielberg, who went on to direct music videos after
He's going to do nothing
sure.
with his life.
And it's a very science fiction movie, touches on science, and we wanted to have an expert on to teach us all about how the movie has failed us.
Unfortunately, the only expert you could find knows nothing about animals or fossils. But I know some things about plants.
We're hanging our hat on there is a paleobotanist in this movie.
Yeah.
That brings in biology of botany. Good.
It's perfect. Dana has insisted to me repeatedly that she is a paleobotanist and that we only refer to as such.
Absolutely. So we're going to start just like we always do about our memories of this movie. Dana, did you see this when it came out? And what were your thoughts of it at the time?
I did see it when it came out. I was in my first or second year of grad school. And at that time, I was seeing all of the movies. So 1993 was a famously excellent
it was a good
year
year
for films. And Jurassic Park was really fun to watch because there were scientists who were trying to do actual science, which is unusually rare in movies, actually, I think.
They usually become action heroes.
There are a lot of there's a lot of bad scientists in movies, but these were just like actual normal scientists collecting who were interested in what was happening around them. So
that's true. This wasn't mad science. This was just standard science.
Yeah, it was fun because we talked about whether it was accurate and we sort of laughed at the parts that weren't and just enjoy. I think all of my friends went to see it. We had a great time. All of my little nerdy science friends. Yeah.
Okay, great. What about you, DJ? Did you see this dinosaur movie as a young
as an 11-year-old straight boy? Did I go see this dinosaur movie in 1993? 100 times in the theater, and then basically it's my favorite movie still. No. So end of segment. What do you have to
well,
say?
this is going to be really exciting for you. And you're suddenly going to get a lot of jokes from The Simpsons and Mystery Science Theater.
This was targeted straight at my face, and it worked perfectly. I was already obsessed with dinosaurs since I was 6, or whatever, and then this it came to life, and it still 30 something, it's not important, years later.
Let's not put a number on it.
Holds up like the other, we'll get to it, sequels don't. And it's just this is borderline a perfect movie in my opinion, and I have seen it recently enough that I don't think we're going to change my mind on that, but I'm open to it.
We'll see once we get into the controversies of Jack Horner, who was basis for Dr. Grant. Look out.
A little foreshadowing.
Just like you, this came out probably in a weird way, I think it came out in the last possible minute because I was in my waning days of dinosaur, dinophilia. And
Gays
then,
mature faster than straights. We all know that. That's just
that's true.
that's science, Dana. Am I?
And then that is true.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then I think it came out in the first possible chance for me to see kind of a viscerally violent movie as like a tween. I remember getting very scared when that goat lag lands on the Jeep.
There's a couple jump scares in this.
And I think this was the first movie where I actually made a sound out loud when Samuel L. Jackson's arm and not the rest of him lands on Ellie Sattler's elbow in a very like weird place, like where the raptor's like storing it in the pipes for later, but it lands on her perfectly like a human's hand would, and then of course it's not attached to anything. And I screamed.
I screamed yesterday.
Oh, see, effective.
Rewatching it or just?
While I was watching it, I watched.
She was reading the news.
Yeah,
that'll also do it.
Dana, we want to tap into your expertise. Can we start at a high level? I remember even when this movie came out, there were a lot of like think pieces about the science of Jurassic Park. And Michael Crichton is kind of known as a science fiction writer as having like kind of a basis in sciencey stuff, at least enough for lay people like me and DJ to go, yeah, that's enough. Bring on the dinosaurs, please.
Blah, 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 DNA, I got it. Dinosaurs, thank you.
Mr. DNA is just gravy on top. Cartoon DNA strand telling me all about DNA.
I love Mr. DNA. I love, okay, so Michael Crichton is, at least when he first started, I thought he was great. So when I read The Andromeda Strain, I was pretty young. I think I was in high school. That's the first book I remember reading, which was a book about a pandemic, actually. Jurassic Park I also read. And yeah, I think he's pretty good. And I think that this film came out quite soon after the book was written. And also right at around the same time that this kind of recombinant DNA technology was being developed. And the week the film came out, there was a cover story in Science, which is the premier science journal in the world, about extracting fossil DNA from some organism. I can't remember which organism it was. It wasn't from amber, as it turns out, and it wasn't dinosaur DNA, but it was at the same time. It was almost like a promotion, but it wasn't. And so it was...
They planted the story.
There was a lot of... So I think that half of the film audience was like DJ and his ilk, and then the other half was the scientists. We were down, I think, for this experience. Yeah, it was pretty accurate as much as it could be and still have a plot, I think.
Right, okay.
Mr. DNA...
Accurate at the time or accurate even now?
No, not accurate today. Like, I think we know a lot more. Like, they wouldn't have... So I had dinner with a friend yesterday, and he said he wants them to redo it completely, just using exactly the same dialogue and everything, and just making the dinosaurs correct.
Just feathery.
Like feathers and
yes, yes.
We could just we might have the technology to just replace the CGI dinosaurs and just plop them in there and keep all the original cast.
And much better way to spend money than making another Jurassic World property. I
might agree. If we have to do it,
if we're going to do that, let's just do Muppets. Let's just do what we all want anyway.
Muppets Jurassic Park?
Yeah, so just accurate dinosaurs and then Muppet people or Muppet dinosaurs.
Yes.
Yeah, like Miss Piggy.
Like yes.
And like Kermit's
just leave Laura Dern. Yeah.
Well, so what about the science? What might be more accurate and what is maybe more laughable either now or then? Like where does this movie sort of, it's not complete gobbledygook, which is nice to hear, but.
No, it's not complete gobbledygook. The part about, insects being trapped in amber is obviously true. And amber, of course, is a plant product. I just want to put that out there. Amber comes from trees, right?
Botany.
But
and it's the color of your energy.
That
nice.
It would be basically impossible to get like coherent DNA from.
Well, because you'd have whatever they
mosquito.
Fed
there'd be all
on,
sorts of things in there. It'd be a giant mess. So I think that's obviously ridiculous. The interesting thing that I've been thinking about is why they mixed the dinosaur DNA with frogs, which are amphibians and not birds or reptiles, instead of chickens. or because chicken eggs are obviously widely available and we know how they work and we know a lot about their DNA. Or some other lizard, I think would have been better than a frog. I think they used frogs so that they could have the sex change.
Right.
But turtles can change sex. And turtles are closer to dinosaurs than.
And you sent us that article on whiptail lizards. And
whiptail lizards would have been a great choice because whiptails are completely female, but they also have sex. So they're parthenogenic, meaning they're female lizards that have sex with each other, and then they don't fertilize each other's eggs, but the action of having sex with each other allows them to produce eggs. So yeah, I mean, they're big in
whiptail lizards,
like
progressive queen
that I'm part of, I guess. Whiptail lizards are, ask your lesbian friends, they will know.
If you know, you know, whiptail lizards.
Whiptail lizards. Mm-hmm. Girl.
Yeah, they'll know.
That's crazy.
So one of the articles you sent us 3 articles, and what I appreciate about the 3 articles you sent is that each one got more and more like, here comes the airplane. The first one was like a science journal. The second one
started to glaze over with the first one a little bit.
And the third one was like National Geographic for children. Here you go. Whiptail lizard.
Yeah. Right.
But the plant one, I never thought about this aspect, and me and DJ were talking about this before you logged on, was that, you know, dinosaurs are one thing, but the plants that are supposedly also, you know, prehistoric plants from the era would be the most dangerous, because you have one bird fly over from Costa Rica, eat a seed, and plop it back over in Costa Rica, and we're through. We have an ecological disaster.
Dogs and cats living together. No, it's really, and if you think about it, they drive up to Jurassic Park and they're driving through this forest, and at some point Ellie Sattler picks up a leaf and is like, oh, this looks like some sort of fossilized, this shouldn't exist. And she's looking around and realizing, oh, all of these species are from all over the world, like including from Africa. I think there's something about lilac seeds that are triceratops or whatever, but also a bunch of species living together that were in the Cretaceous, I guess. And nobody bats an eye at having gotten the plant DNA up and running and like cloned and growing. And
that is a good question.
That might be a problem for the ecosystem. So I really like that article because it was pretty, it sort of reminded us that the plants are actually the basis of the whole movie. Like the amber is making this dinosaur DNA available. The plants are making the dinosaurs able to eat and live. And and they're also hiding the dinosaurs. They talk about how the forest is like an active participant in the horror portion of it. And it's one of these articles that is written by academics, and it almost feels like a joke. But then when you think about it, you're like, yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, fuck them trees.
I agree. Plants are history's greatest monster. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So, and of course, that lilac, the poison berries play a role in the plot and separate Ellie from Jack.
Yeah.
Is it Jack? Is that his name?
Alan. Jack is the real monster. Alan Grant is the good, honorable man.
So it's the plant that separates the two, like the groups. So from a botanist point of view, like I think they're generally
not to mention it's like the first hint that they're not really paying attention to what they're doing.
It's
right, that they're just mixing everything together, and I don't think the Triceratops eats this crap. And it's like, well, why'd you put it in here? Well, she says, even Ellie Sattler says, because you put it here because it looks good, but you're not respecting how this world functioned together.
Yeah, and she's the first person, I believe, and you may, sorry, I feel like I'm giving all the spoilers to those of you who haven't watched Jurassic Park in the last 20 years, but she's the one who really speaks first, and I think most cogently. I mean, I'm not talking about Ian Malcolm, because I think he's kind of a blowhard,
right?
But
they don't have those in academia, as I understand, right?
Good
The
point.
sunglass
fiction
wearing,
for
leather
the
jacket
movie.
Wearing guy who just dominating the conversation.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. He's such a jerk. Anyway, he's also the only person who treats Ellie as if she's he's the only one who harasses her. Everyone else treats her like a scientist.
Ooh, that's I'm gonna make a
and
note.
he's really a jerk.
He's a lecherous one.
But Ellie is really thoughtful when she's talking to Hammond. Is that his name? The park guy, the head of the park. And she basically says, "Look, y'all, I fell for this too. It's an amazing idea, but you did this. You didn't think at all about what was going to do the ecosystem. You didn't think at all about how these organisms are going to interact with each other, much less us." And so I really appreciated her character because there are very few women scientists in film who are taken seriously and who actually know some things. Now, why she knows enough to be a dinosaur veterinarian
right, sure,
to being a really good paleobotanist, I'm not sure, but she's just got a lot of hobbies. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe she knows dinosaur dung and what to look for lilac seeds.
Yeah, she knows a lot about how to care for the pustules on the tongue. I don't know.
When you
that's a good point too. That's a good point too.
It even occurred to me, did dinosaurs eating all these mammals, right? Because there, of course, weren't mammals.
Yeah, including humans. Yeah, they're eating the humans.
Certainly, there were no humans or goats or whatever they were feeding those dinosaurs.
Do you think they made them
why they were feeding the mammals and thinking that would be a good idea seems...
Well, yeah, could that screw up their digestive system or something?
I mean...
Like feeding on a meat that they wouldn't have available?
I feel like there were other problems, but yes, it might, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Maybe Dr. Was it Dr. Wong though? Maybe he made
Wong's character, yeah.
B.D. Wong's character.
Oh, he's so good.
Maybe he made a lactate, but for eating mammals. So
that's the thing that he restricts them on.
I just can't go overboard.
Yeah, maybe
but I can have the pizza.
Maybe that's the source of the sort of missing amino acid is from the mammals.
Oh yeah.
Do you see this with
lysine?
Yeah, he does talk about lysine.
Lysine,
that sounds familiar.
If you see this with an eye towards botany, do you is this movie basically The Happening to you? The plants are sort of controlling all of the things that go wrong.
Well, that's just true about all of life, everything, your life too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I say this to my students all the time, take a deep breath, right? And think a plan because. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every time my allergies act up, I do, which is awful. Just I think of little pollen just traveling through my
I'm not sure what the situation was with flowering plants, whether there were flowering. See, I did not look up the evolution of plants before I did this podcast.
That's a real shame.
Be quiet because you're going to broadcast this to people and I don't know who's going to hear it. But I don't know.
She spent a lot of time researching pustules on dinosaur tongues, but nothing on flowering plants.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know if I'm answering your questions.
You're doing great.
This is perfect. We're an entertainment podcast. You're doing great.
Right. Good point. Well, here's what I have to say. That Mr. DNA video, I think holds up really well. That the the part about the frogs and whatever, I'm not so sure, but I really like how he describes how DNA works and how they would have gotten just the form of the video and the southern accent randomly of
dinosaur
is so good. Yeah, that's right, dinosaur. That's right. It's really well done, and I really appreciated that part. I appreciated the visitor center and how you could have completely imagine that. Even now, I think it was a good visitor center for early 90s, and I think even now it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, it feels like if you went to what's that animal themed part of Disney World,
Animal
it feels
Kingdom.
like that's one of the that feels like the hotel you would stay in when you walk in.
Jeanette even likes the font, right? We saw the font, and you're like, now that's a font, much better than Avatar. It's
that's
good.
true.
Yeah,
Julio Torres isn't going to complain about the Jurassic Park font.
You know, it's like we literally have 6 movies telling us what a terrible idea this is.
yeah.
And I got to be honest, I would probably still go.
I would still go. I would absolutely go. I would be like, oh, I should go just to see how terrible it is.
And you're
Yeah.
like, I know this is my 6th waiver I've signed, but I still want to go.
I'm still
I still want to see it.
going.
No, I definitely want to see it. And this whole, I'm kind of on random access mode, but I was thinking a lot about that, the tagline, right? Life finds a way. And I was thinking about these dinosaurs finding way, et cetera, et cetera. But in the middle of the film, or I guess it's the beginning of the last third of the film, where the kids have come back and inexplicably they've been left alone in the
you gotta leave them alone.
Their own devices, and they make their way. Like, they've just been through this incredibly traumatic thing. They've almost died multiple times. They've seen other humans die. They don't know where their adults are.
Mm-hmm.
And they see this buffet of food, and they go up to this buffet, and they're like, and their eyes get huge, and they look at each other and they grin, and they're super happy to like have dessert after this incredibly traumatic thing. And I think that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel like that was really realistic.
One of the things I think that, because it was at the tail end of my dinophilia, I think it really, I think a lot of kids who think about, I think Tyler, take off the dinosaur suit. Not right now.
Come back later. We're not done yet. Still recording.
I think
It's not
one of the things when you're a kid.
Oh, sorry.
It's a whiptail.
When you're a kid, like, you think about, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to see dinosaurs? They're so awesome. You think almost like Calvin and Hobbes, like this idea of like hanging out and seeing dinosaurs, and this really literally recontextualizes dinosaurs by putting them in the present. And you're like, no, you would be eaten. You would be killed instantaneously. And
also, you do something really stupid before you were killed. You would like jostle the lock and escape the pod to go closer to the dinosaurs. Like, there's bad security in this in the system. And I just like, all of that just seems really true. It's just like life finding a way over and over and over again, like all these different ways. So it's I really like this film. Like, the more I think
it does a good job of registering the trauma that these people are going through. It's not just like a Bruce Willis like action movie where I have a funny quip and then I'm on to the next set piece. It like, these kids are ruined.
Yeah.
And like the kids seem actually terrified. The girl is, there's a point where she's like, he left us. She's just like completely
She's almost
frozen.
nonverbal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And her brother gets nonverbal at some point. Yeah. They're scared as heck. But then they are cured by like a really nice buffet.
Who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked delicious.
It did look really good. I
want Jell-O the minute you got back into just Jell-O with whipped cream, like at room temperature. The power has been out. Do not eat that Jell-O, kid.
I want to push back on something there, because I can't think of a single example in modern life where humans would do like a stupid thing again, like something like earth-shatteringly dumb, like again after having learned a lesson not that long ago. Like I can't think of that.
Fully well, what might happen, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to make it bigger, better, worse, I think is.
Yeah.
Well, that's capitalism for you. We're going to keep opening Jurassic Park until we get it right.
Hybrids. It's hybrids.
Move fast and break things and eat children with dinosaurs.
That's the thing I'm going to be looking out for. I feel like John Hammond has like a bit of a Silicon Valley vibe to him, where he's
in
very
founder
charming,
mode.
he's very charismatic.
Yeah.
But he's just not thinking this through. And I think Ian Malcolm even says, like, you didn't bring back the California condor. You brought back an animal that died of natural causes, for lack of a better word. Like, this species had a chance and it died, and you brought it back because that's the ticket to the money.
You're absolutely right. I think there is a romanticism to humans. Like, for example, people are really seriously talking about making mammoths, right? They're not entirely joking about this. We don't really need to do that, I don't think, as a conservation biologist. Like,
the smell alone.
We went extinct quite a while ago. We have a lot more
smell
work
alone.
to do. Like, keep your eye on the ball, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is the idea of Pleistocene rewilding is a true field of study. If not, it's not, wildly popular, I guess, but people are thinking
It's for the cranks.
Should we do this? Should we bring elephants to the American West is also an interesting question, right? Should we bring the cognates to the plain, the cognates of mammoths to the plains? And the answer to that is probably no.
What if we bring back like 4 of them?
Yeah.
They won't have a big enough population to survive. Let's just see how it vibes, man.
I mean, we have elephants in Tennessee at the rescue,
That's
at
true.
the,
We could bring them to the Hohenwald Animal Rescue here in
They're doing
Tennessee.
great.
Yeah.
There's elephant cams. You can watch and see how they're doing. They seem fine.
Amazing.
I wanted to say one thing related to Hammond, who is played by an Attenborough. And so as a scientist who grew up in the 80s and 90s, his brother, David Attenborough, is like the world's most beloved nature guy, right? So it's really fun to see him in this, basically playing his brother to some extent in the film.
But like his
back to the film.
like his dark version.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it's nice. The accent is doing some lifting here, I think.
I think, I didn't even think of that as like stunt casting, but it must be stunt. I mean, there has to be a little bit of a stunt casting going on there.
I wouldn't put it past Spielberg to have thought it actually through.
I knew that they were brothers, and I think I learned that after having seen Jurassic Park, so I didn't like apply that knowledge back. But that has to be like a little bit of stunt casting. Like, let's just get him in here and see.
He did it really well. I kind of wish they would have gotten David Attenborough, who wouldn't have done it, I don't think, but because he's not as good of an actor, maybe.
He didn't direct Gandhi, so he doesn't get to just do whatever he wants.
Well, he does his own stunts, and they just didn't want to. They couldn't afford the insurance.
It is funny, though. I mean, I'm thinking, I know I read the book when I was a kid after seeing the movie, and John Hammond is not as charming. So it's like a conscious choice to make
no one
it
is as
much
charming.
more, pardon the pun, but like Santa Claus-y, a little bit more like Miracle on 34th Street, Richard Attenborough, and make him much more charming and grandfatherly. He doesn't make it out alive in the book.
I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a biologist, and he was actually irritated by that. He thought that Hammond's character should have been more like obviously evil, but I kind of like the idea that he was just wrong rather than like devious and terrible.
Malicious and right.
Yeah, I like the idea of him just being kind of hubristic and greedy, but also just had a really big idea.
Fool. Yeah.
And had enough money to pull it off. Another thing that we've never heard of before.
Well, I feel like Crichton's more of a like good ideas guy, and whereas Spielberg brings a lot of nuance to, like, he's not always the most nuanced director, but like he brings a lot of like richness to the world and to the characters, and I think that's just one of the things. Like, Ellie's character as well, just like being this rich female character that you don't even like. It's not about her being female, you know what I mean? Whereas like every other time, like every other Jurassic Park movie, for example, you don't even get that, and but
we don't. We got that
I think
lady in high heels in the last 3 of them. It was. I mean, that was also remarked upon as like we had 20 years between like the first one and the fourth one, and we somehow went backwards.
We went backwards
in terms of women represented on film.
Ellie Sadler's wearing hiking boots. I mean, she's wearing shorts, which I would not do in the jungle, but she is in hiking boots, and she knows how to like move through the forests. Yeah, I'm not usually a huge Laura Dern fan, but I love this character. I've decided. I've changed my
Careful,
mind.
your queer card might get revoked with that kind of language.
I know.
David Lynch just died, and you're saying these things. Anything else about the science that you want to say that we didn't cover here?
I'm sure there are other things,
or anything actually. Anything else that caught your ear?
Okay, so I still have a lot of questions about how it all works. Like, I'm just like the guy who like, jumps out of the ride and like wants to get into the lab and talk to the scientist. Like I want to know like where did they get those eggs? Are they like if they used frog DNA, but then they have these things that look like ostrich eggs that they're incubating these things in, but then they're storing the embryos in little tubes. So like I just have a lot of questions about how like the actual like bench science that they're employing for these dinosaur clones.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was
I'm not a molecular biologist. So. I'm sorry.
I just said I was gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if it's all fake to like a Disney ride. Like that BD Wong's character is just an actor who's just there to rotate the eggs. And
he shows up later, though.
He does. He's in the later movies.
Yeah.
That was even in one of the articles that you sent. I can't remember where it went, but there was they posited. Well, I don't know if they originated the theory, but they were talking about the theory that his character, BD Wong's character, is like kind of manufacturing, like creating the dinosaurs, and that's why they don't like match actual things, and they can talk about frog DNA stuff that doesn't make sense. I think it's probably actually just like retroactively explaining. It's a movie. Relax.
Right. Well, in the more recent ones, he does reference the fact that they don't look like what dinosaurs would have looked like because they retroactively say, like John Hammond's like, I want the dinosaurs to look like what people imagine.
Like more or whatever.
Right, exactly.
You could see that happening too, like the sort of capitalist side of it being like, well, I can't sell giant birds.
As long as we're in there messing with the DNA.
Right, exactly.
Like
let's
a
make
little
some tweaks.
scarier. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, have you seen a cassowary?
The only other thing to say, sorry, I interrupted you, DJ.
Oh, we're just joking about cassowaries, how terrifying they are. What about a 50-foot cassowary?
Well, this is what I was going to say, is that I think I remember teaching. So I got my first teaching job in 1998, 99, and I started teaching about evolution. And we talked briefly about dinosaurs being birds. And at that time in 99, people were still very surprised that dinosaurs, and kind of disturbed that dinosaurs had feathers and colors, and that, the T-Rex looked more like Big Bird than whatever we saw in Jurassic Park. So it was not too many years after that people started understanding and learning in class, like what the dinosaurs look like. But this movie, like, I think was on the leading edge of that.
They talk about it.
Edge, but it was. It was nice to see that new idea being discussed. So I guess I don't have much else to say.
That's true. I think it was the first time I had really heard that dinosaurs might be, more akin to birds than lizards. And I think it really settled into the mainstream conversation. So it is, to its credit.
Yeah, I guess.
Now it will be banned for DEI because of, talking about evolution just so freely.
But they also have a female scientist, which is...
And trans dinosaurs, actually. So...
good for it. Yeah.
No Jurassic Park for any of us going forward.
Ones, so
yeah. Well, that's true. They are killing everyone. So maybe it would get under the wire there.
Everyone knows Hammond and his woke enterprise. Jurassic Park.
Well, Dana, I think that this has been great.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
It has been great. It's been fun. Thank you for letting me be on your podcast. I'm a huge fan.
I'm now sad that we didn't have you on for Little Shop of Horrors. I feel like that would have been...
that was a perfect opportunity. You really dropped the ball on that one.
I would have lots to say, but that's okay. Another time.
Any more plant-based movies, we'll keep you in mind.
Oh, but The Martian was way past your,
Yeah, that's true. But if we keep going, eventually it'll become, nostalgic.
Your inner middle-aged person.
When we're 86 and we're still doing this, anything's fair game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Call me up. I'll be 94. So.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
Oh, nice to see you. Bye, Damon.
Yeah.
Bye.
It was great, and we're gonna watch the movie now. Me and DJ are, and then we're gonna report back.
Okay, and edit out all the silly stuff.
This is more Billy Connolly than Richard Attenborough. When I came over from Scotland, the first attraction I ever built was patreon.com/You're an Idiot. And all the little kids would be there and like, oh, you see the little inner childs and idiots over there, and there's the clown urinal childs and idiots, and there's the little urinal childs and idiots getting shot out of a cannon. And
I can see them, Mommy. I can see them.
I can see them. And they weren't there.
They weren't there at all.
But, they believe they were.
Don't you see? I believed in the power of...
I'm sorry. Are we both John Hammond?
I'm Laura Dern now.
Oh,
I believed in the power of this patreon.com/You're a Child's an Idiot. Even I almost fell into it. But I have ethics.
Oh, well, I didn't prepare much in the way of response to that. But what I will say is patreon.com/You're a Child's an Idiot. Also known as yourinachildsandidiots.com.
We spared many expenses.
Oh, the expenses we spared.
Okay, good enough. Love it.
One of our best. Sadly.
Damon, will you please recap Jurassic Park 1993 for the fine listeners of this podcast?
This is the Lost World Jurassic Park?
Nope. This is
Jurassic World, Jurassic Park.
This is original recipe, Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Now, you're probably thinking of the book Jurassic Park, but there is zero sneaking past sleeping T-Rexes in this version.
Ooh, did you look up the book premise?
I read the book.
I did read the book too,
Yeah.
but I read it so many years ago, which is the...
Yeah, I read it. Not for this podcast. Get out of here. Not for the podcast.
Why would we ever spend time reading books?
I watched a movie. What else do you want from me?
DJ, I'm trying to keep this tight. So
Thank
let me
you.
just
Thank you.
let me just do the recap real quick. John Hammond, wealthy industrialist, builds a fun theme park built around the idea of man-eating monsters. And wouldn't you know it, just a slight technological hiccup causes all the fences to go down, and for the monsters, man-eating, to come out and eat a bunch of men. Hold on. Exclusively men.
Yeah.
Which is troublesome to me as a men's rights advocate.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned about DEI and, discrimination
Yeah,
against,
what the
against
hell,
white men.
Spielberg?
Can't help but to notice who's getting thrown around, who's finding themselves in the maws of tyrannosaurs. Men, exclusively men. Anyway, as I was saying, eventually John Hammond finds out that his capitalist dreamland didn't work out, and he's going to go off into the sunset and realize that he just needed to move the park to San Diego in the Lost World Jurassic Park, coming out 4 years hence from now.
Wait, that's not. Is that what? Okay, he's trying to do that.
No, but the company out from under him in the Lost World is trying to...
Is that InGen?
InGen, yes. Anyway, also Sam Neill is there. He was Damien in The Omen Part 3. Laura Dern is there, daughter of Bruce Dern. And,
you know these people from.
She was in The Lost Highway, I believe.
Enlightened.
And what?
Enlightened.
Oh, she was in Enlightened. Yeah. Big Little Lies. In the future, she didn't have that knowledge now. She's not like Merlin living backwards. And what else?
There's children.
And the bassist from Queen was there.
Yeah.
He also founded Facebook. He was one of the founders of Facebook.
Yep.
And Girl is also there.
Girl from
Angus.
What's the alien movie that she's in with the little aliens?
Toy Story.
Spaced Invaders. Is that what I'm thinking of?
Spaced Invaders? The hell you say? Sorry
I'm
for your tight runtime.
I'm
going to have to look up.
I'm right about this. Get off me.
Ariana Richards. She is in Spaced Invaders with, of course, as we all remember, Patrick Reed Johnson and Douglas Barr. So
we should definitely cover that movie, but not now.
Definitely.
We're talking about yes. This was a special movie to me, but not as special as Jurassic Park, the movie we're talking about right now.
Well done.
I want to introduce a topic immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we have already talked a little bit about, at least in our present time, we've already talked a little bit about Star Wars. And I feel like I undersold John Williams a little bit. I know we talked about it a little bit, but John Williams' score in this is my favorite John Williams score, including Indiana Jones, including Star Wars.
This is your favorite one.
This is my favorite one.
Okay.
I'm just gonna
now I know,
stand
and we
on
didn't get a chance to cover it while Dr. Duddle was here. But do you want to sing a few bars of yours and your wife's lyrics that you put to John Williams' score of Jurassic Park?
It's a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur. It's a T-Rex. It's a raptor. And
it does capture the majesty of bringing long extinct animals back to life.
Yeah, you can't really use the Latin names, or it starts to get a little wordy.
It does.
Dilophosaurus rex.
Dilophosaurus.
It's a gallimimus.
You can probably find. I remember they gave them like quippy names on the Jurassic Park tie-in toys,
compies,
and I was like, I'm not calling them that. I'm gonna call them gallimimus. I'm not gonna call them galleys or whatever you want me to call them.
That's like what you give pets, not these creatures that eat you.
Yeah, absolutely. John Williams' score is really good. It did take me into a universe when just scores were big. I feel like we're in a score nadir right now.
Yeah.
Where everything is just low hums and nothing is very memorable.
It's pretty much just what's his name? Michael Giacchino or whatever that does the like Pixar stuff. That's like he's like the last. I mean, you've got the people still like John Williams is still around, Sylvester's still around, but like he's the one like still doing it. And I guess the Game of Thrones guys, he's trying sometimes. Ramin Djawadi. There's plenty of incredible composers.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm just saying, like, what I feel like when I see these big, like, blockbuster movies, their big motifs are, wow. And I'm like, yes, this does take me back to Superman.
It was
usually
cool.
There's a giant laser shooting into the sky. I will say that, which is a sense memory I have.
I don't know if it started with Inception, but that was the score. And that actually made sense because it was the song that they kept using, or was Levy on Rose or something, like slowed down like incredible, like thousands of times or whatever. And that,
but they also, I mean, I feel even with Man of Steel, the Man was like, whoa,
yeah.
Whoa. I'm like, this is the theme. Like, John Williams, speak of the devil, also wrote a memorable theme for Superman, and you want to follow it up with whoa. You're right. It is a good score.
I love it.
Brass. I just love brass. Suck it, woodwinds. I like brass.
Wow. Man,
get
likes
out of here.
brass.
Fucking reeds.
He's a
you're
brass
single,
man.
You're double reeds. Fuck off.
There's different themes. I love it. It's great.
Can we talk about our beloved characters?
Yes. Would love to.
I love a mudge.
I'm sorry?
I love a mudge.
Please continue.
Oh, you probably... this is how it appears on the back of the Jurassic Park toy for Alan Grant. But a curmudgeon is the Latin name for his type of person.
Mudgies. Yeah.
I like a mudgy. And he is delightfully curmudgeonly. I remember Siskel and Ebert because as a kid I watched Siskel and Ebert a lot. And don't say
just a thing. Mm-hmm.
I watched them a lot. And they hated all the characters in Jurassic Park.
Insane to me.
And I love that there's this giant blockbuster movie, and it's like, what if we put everyone's most grumpy uncle in as the star of our movie, as the lead of our movie? He's got a little kerchief on, which is cute. He's got his little hat. He hates kids, which I hate kids. But kids also like me, which is also a curse I have. Kids are a lot like cats in that if you try to give them less attention, they just want to be around you more and get their hair on you.
Except for me and Tippi, we have a mutual respect.
Well, me and Tippi have an unmutual respect.
It's not mutual at
she's
all.
like, get fucked, old man, until it's dinner time. But Alan Grant is, I love him. Every time he's just like... Ugh.
But he's also like shows real emotion. Like when Hammond first shows up at their dig site and gives them, they're like, I need you to come look at the park. And they're like, what the hell? What are you talking about? And then he like, we'll fund you for 3 years. And he's
this
like,
is the scene after he delightfully tells a kid how he could die.
Yes. I feel like he genuinely shows, you see like real emotions too. Like he's a 3-dimensional character and he like,
I think you see what's important to him. Like he sees like, oh, I can fund my dig for 4 years.
Yeah.
And, your favorite moment, Alan Grant moment, where he smells the egg, I feel like, while weird, also, I feel like tracks with him. He's like, well, I've never gotten to smell a fresh dinosaur egg, so why would I pass up this chance right now?
I have to. I must smell this egg.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say, I mean, if you're gonna make a hollandaise sauce, which is what I assumed he was doing, you want to use the freshest eggs.
Yeah.
And so he was probably smelling it to see, could I make a hollandaise sauce?
Do you have an immersion blender, Dr. Grant? You can do it without it, but it's real hard.
You're gonna want it.
Yeah, he obviously becomes attached to the children. They become attached to him. He takes care of them. You see that he's, a genuinely caring man, even for kids. And I like the way that, like, throughout the film, it's like Tim is a lot younger and more fragile, and he's like always helping him. Like, he's like of course he gets injured too, but he helps him get down from high places and like carries him a little bit, and he's like, Lex is fine. She's fine. She can, but he also
she's literally in the process of like unpacking trauma.
She's obviously more
she's emotionally destroyed, and Tim's just physically destroyed. We can work with that.
Yeah.
Lex, hang out in the sewer for a bit.
Lex, I can't help you with that right now. We've got to do more immediately.
This is going to take years.
Yeah.
But you know what won't take years? Getting Tim out of that tree.
But he does do his best even with that by reassuring her that that's not what I'm going to do.
I do like that line, even though it's almost unmemorable, but for some reason it always stuck with me. But that's not what I'm going to do.
Because I'm not
it's
blood-sucking lawyer.
For one, it's like, I just want to reassure you that I'm not going anywhere, even though I won't physically be in your presence for the next bit. But it also, the way Sam Neill plays it is like, I am annoyed with you right now, and I just need to do this thing. But that's not what I'm going to do.
I didn't read it as annoying at all. I did not read that as annoyed. You're bringing that to the table, I think.
I'm bringing a lot to this table.
Okay, so Dr. Allen, we also have Dr. Ellie Sattler. Do you want to talk about her?
Yes. Now, Dana brought up the fact that Ellie is wearing shorts, which is not what you'd want to do in an environ such as this.
I don't know if she even packed. She just came straight from the archaeological.
No, she was wearing pants at the dig in the Badlands.
Okay, all right.
So I do want to say, in Ms. Sattler's defense, Dr. Sattler's defense.
Wow.
Second time
Disrespect.
I dismissed the degree of a woman on this episode.
Keep that up. That's great.
Jesus Christ. You talk about men's rights once, and it just sinks into your brain.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
In her defense, I feel like she thought she was going to an attraction,
a resort.
An event space.
Yeah.
And she didn't know she would be hiking or running from monsters the entire time.
Yeah, if you say Costa Rica, I don't think pants. I'm just...
I am also a very sweaty person. Some might say I just give a humid aura. And I would be like, I don't care what nettles or bugs bite my legs. I am not going to be swampy in my lower equator for the entire trip.
You're lucky I'm not going full Winnie the Pooh, all right?
Y'all cool with this? Well, keep your eyes up here then, buddy. Mr. Gennaro, Esquire. Notice how I gave him a title.
Yeah, see?
What's
respect
wrong with
for
me?
the men. Dr. Sattler rules. By the way, I know this is early, but she is my Catherine O'Hara Memorial MVP because Laura Dern crushes it. Dr. Sattler is a great character. Just fucking crushing it. I don't know why she is an expert in Triceratops eating half. It doesn't matter. Or animals in general. We touched on that with Dr. Duddle.
We did. I do want to sort of, because I didn't realize the extent before we had watched it. And now this movie is not alone in this problem, which is when movies have a character who is smart, they just assume that character is smart in literally everything. I'm sure if there was a moment where Ellie Sattler had to sing, she would fucking nail it. She's like, oh, don't worry, I have perfect pitch.
I don't know.
She's not only, she's a paleobotanist.
Yeah.
Great. That's what she studied. I assume she has a doctorate in paleobotany. Then she's an expert in analyzing symptoms in a long extinct animal species. She's looking at pustules on the tongue.
She's
looking
cows.
at the dilated.
Her family has cows. That is established in the movie.
Is it?
No.
Oh.
But I'm going to assume.
I was like, wow, they really did their research. I was about to let it all go. So she's looking at like the dilation of the pupils of the Triceratops. And it's one thing, like, I imagine you'd have a passing knowledge of like toxins in plants and what they can do to certain animals. But like, this is a long extinct bird-like creature, possibly. You know exactly what would happen to it if it ate West Indian lilac. She's also going through feces piles of a Triceratops, again, a long extinct animal. Then she's like, she's like doing Malcolm's triage. She's like doing his, what's that thing?
She gives him morphine. She gives
him like cc's of morphine, which is ludicrous. Which reminded me of Dr. Venkman in Ghostbusters also delivering morphine to another famous Dana Barrett. And I'm like,
Doctor,
what right do you have? You're a doctor in whatever fake science they have in Ghostbusters. What is this?
I think part of it is a layman being like, some science shit.
Yeah, she knows her shit.
But also, if the three people on this episode of this podcast, you, me, and Dana, went to Jurassic Park in real life, who is going to be the most likely to have any sort of idea what's going on with Tracer? I'll tell you what, it's not me. And I'm going to guess it's not
me,
you.
Because I get nauseous around blood.
I'm going to be like, that is amazing. That is one of my favorite dinosaurs. I wish a Stegosaurus was here, but it's fine.
You'll have to wait until the sequel.
Secondly, maybe don't burst the tongue zit with your fingers. I don't know much about dinosaurs, but I know that's the gross stuff that's coming out of that.
All right, so you're just missing the knowledge of a woman doctor here in this episode. I just wanted to check. I just wanted to write it down in the
You're trying to drag me down with you, and it's not going to happen. I already nominated her for a fake award for this podcast. No, I've got carte blanche. No, Dr. Sattler rules, and like she's got great lines. She doesn't like. I like that she's kind of tolerating Dr. Malcolm a little bit. Like she seems intrigued by him, which I think I would be too, right?
Yeah, there was a stammering live man who decided, you know what, Costa Rica, I'm wearing leather,
all black colors. Now he was ready for the tall grass.
True. He was ready for the grass, and I guess keeping the sun off of him.
Yeah.
No, wait. Black would just bring more heat onto him.
Don't worry about it.
All right. I'm interested in why you say she tolerates him, because I would argue that she is engaged with him. I don't think she's going to leave Dr. Grant by any means, but I think she's much more into the flirting than tolerating the flirting.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think I saw her like playing dumb with his chaos theory a little bit when she's like, that went right over my head. I don't think she's like actually knows chaos theory and is pretending she doesn't. I just think she's like,
although this movie might be like, oh, by the way, she's also a chaotician.
But I just feel like she is playing along so that she is interested in what he has to say and his perspective. And I do think he has an interesting perspective on this, and obviously is the main right person in the beginning of the movie when he's like, no bueno, bad idea. Like, they're all kind of like, yeah, I see your point. Whereas he's like, no, bad. This is going to go badly.
Me no likey.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Dr. Malcolm. Stammering, flirt. Yeah. Like, literally, if you left flirting on the pot for too long and it concentrated at the bottom of the pot, you would be left with Jeff Goldblum.
Just concentrated ooze.
Like, yeah, just Ian Malcolm with his shirt open, heaving bosom, one might say.
We have to acknowledge Dr. Malcolm's heaving bosom making an appearance in this movie.
Finally. They've been a patron for so long, and we finally get to see their starring role.
A really good job. One of the most heavingest bosoms of a doctor.
When that bosom moved, theory. I really believed it was heaving.
Better than leaving, No, I I think Dr. Malcolm's great. He doesn't seem like a guy that I would want to, be in a relationship with. He seems like a bit of a cad, but
he does seem like a gadabout. Yes,
he seems to genuinely care about the people. He's not, he's like cares about the kids. Are they okay? Like he cares about humanity and what this might do to humanity. But he is also very much, a rock star, as mentioned in the movie, and he's very much like full of himself and very, very swaggering, and it's delightful to see. I love a nerdy mathematician who is just a hunk. It happens a lot in real life, and it happens a lot in this.
I was trying to think of like who is the corollary. He feels like he has such specificity to him that I was trying to think of the corollary. I was thinking of people like, I don't know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who does not rise to the level.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like, who's fucking Richard Dawkins? Mrs. Dawkins, perhaps.
The future
but I think of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I mean, Richard Dawkins, in a way. I was thinking of Brian Cox, who's like a British, like, space guy.
Carl Sagan, back in the day.
Yes,
he could get it.
Sagan.
He could
but
get
like,
it.
None of them, all of them, like, sort of rose to the top despite their nerdiness. Like, no one's like, oh yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson could get it, but he also knows a lot about science. Like, no, the reason we know his name is because he's
good science communicator, like Carl Sagan, his mentor. And also, I mean, now that I've mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson, I feel like the need to put an asterisk. Yeah. Although all allegations were dropped. Yeah.
I just feel the need to put an asterisk.
Yeah.
Wait, should I not put an asterisk when the allegations are dropped?
Yeah, I think we have to, but I also don't know. I didn't follow up on that one because I just was like, got all this.
Let's also talk about my favorite character, the character I related to the most.
Lex.
Mr. Gennaro, the lawyer who gets eaten halfway through. The one who loves the rules.
Yes.
And the minute a bigger alpha comes along, he's like, yes, we should make a lot of money on Jurassic Park. You're absolutely right, Mr. Hammond. And then abandons children to die, gets eaten himself, and ends up as sort of a punchline. I think this was Gennaro. I think this was too.
Yeah.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
He's more of, I feel like, if I recall correctly, I think he's like more of a bad guy in the book. Like, he's just kind of a weasel. Like, he's more punished for his hubris and for, like you said, just running away when the T-Rex attacked.
He's a blood-sucking lawyer.
What is he gonna do to help the children anyway? But
true, even Alan Grant could barely help the children out of the situation. But yeah, the fact that he runs, I will say, like, he runs away, which is,
and he's fine at first.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's really just Ian Malcolm who draws the Tyrannosaur near to Gennaro's hiding place, which is, I've got to deduct points from Ian Malcolm for that.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have done that.
It was a very, like, the T-Rex huffs and puffs and blows the bathroom shack down.
But I was amazed this time. This is the first time I really noticed it. How long Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm sit in that car watching what's happening with the T-Rex and versus Lex and Tim. Just sitting there watching, like, even enough to the point where Ian Malcolm has to sort of clear the windshield from the steam that's brewing. I mean, they are terrified, and I think the movie does a good job of, like, showing the abject terror of these characters. But it was sort of a weird beat for me that they're sitting there, they're watching, and the movie punishes Donald Gennaro for actively walking away, but they are just sitting there.
Yeah, it takes a while, but like after they're initially attacked, before he
like
does
there's not
thing.
Like, oh, he's walking by, and I can understand, like, why don't we all just be cool and maybe the Tyrannosaur will just go away.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's like the Tyrannosaur is literally like butting up against the Jeep and trying to knock it over, and they're still just watching.
What do you think about...
What I'm saying is they should be killed.
What do you think children should be killed? That's what you're saying.
Usually. Do you remember one of my favorite memories that I have with you is we went to a midnight showing of Jurassic Park at the local arts theater.
Yes.
That's OR theater. And it was packed. Like everyone was trying to get a ticket. And my friend Jason came out like a genie out of nowhere. And he's like, I thought you'd be here, and gave us 2 tickets. We got in. But my second favorite part of this is that when we were watching the movie, it was a very sort of raucous, like Rocky Horror Picture type thing where everyone's engaging with the movie out loud. When the kids show up, the audience booed audibly. Boo! Poor Lex and Tim.
I loved that reaction. Although
I don't hate Lex and Tim, but
I don't either.
I really love that reaction.
I think that's really funny. And also it's a very Grant adjacent. I want to say, while we were talking about the T-Rex attack scene, what do you think about Dr. Grant lights a flare, attracts the T-Rex, gets it to follow it with his hand, and then throws it. And the T-Rex appears to be following the flare, but and he's standing there, Dr. Grant is standing there still so that it doesn't think that he's a target. Then immediately, Dr. Malcolm lights another flare and has the T-Rex chase him.
Yeah.
And now I always thought that was just him being kind of, overconfident, thinking he was also being a hero. He just saw somebody being a hero, so he wanted to be a hero too. But he also says, get the kids. They're like, he intentionally has the T-Rex follow him. He doesn't really think through what's going to happen exactly, but he's like, T-Rex is going to be dealing with me, and you can go get the kids.
Come on,
come
T-Rex.
at me, the little arms. But
oh wait, it's mostly your teeth.
Oh god,
the problem? Oh god,
the arms weren't the issue the whole time. What do you think about that plan?
I actually, it's not thought through on Ian Malcolm's part, which counteracts my complaint about the Ellie Sattler issue, which is like she's great at everything because she has a doctorate in paleobotany. But this is an instance where it feels kind of realistic in that Ian Malcolm didn't fully process all that Alan Grant was saying, or didn't have all the information that he needed, which is that the T-Rex's sight, I don't know how true this is, but in the movie, the T-Rex's sight is based
we would have
on
no
movement.
way of knowing that.
And so Alan Grant, completely still, waves the flare, which draws the T-Rex's gaze. Ian Malcolm sees what Alan Grant is doing and interprets it incorrectly, which is like, oh, no matter what I do, all I need to do is light a flare and it'll follow it. And it's like, no. The important part is that you are completely still except for the flare. And so that felt kind of realistic. I didn't take it as like, I'm also being a hero. I do take it as like, go save the kids. I'm going to continue doing what you did, even though I didn't fully understand what it was you were doing. It felt very realistic. And I will say, I think we talked about this a little bit with Dana, but I think one of the great strengths of this movie is how realistically, or maybe more realistically than you typically see in a big blockbuster movie than this, how it processes trauma and how it processes like injuries. Like people are being injured in very serious ways. And unlike like John McClane in Die Hard, they don't just like get up 20 minutes later. Like, no, they're incapacitated. They have broken their legs like Ian Malcolm, or they've lost their torso like Mr. Gennaro. I feel like,
you could call him incapacitated, I suppose.
Lex's, he left us, has always stuck with me. And I remember one of my bonding moments with my best friend LT was us both having that sense memory of, he left us. Which feels realistic. I haven't talked to a psychiatrist in years because I got it all on lockdown.
Believe me, I know.
But it feels more real than you would expect from a big blockbuster popcorn movie like this. It feels like people are coping with trauma, and you really feel that they're going to be dealing with this for years, and the complete and utter disregard that John Hammond had for their safety has put them at best, at psychological trauma that they will be working with for decades to come,
including his grandchildren. You know what I mean? Not just the scientists he's never really met.
Who just went through a divorce, which all 80s
Yeah.
and 90s movies told me was the worst thing that could happen to kids.
I always thought that was such a stupid plan, Malcolm's plan, because I'm like, he already got the T-Rex to go away temporarily.
It is frustrating knowing that Alan Grant had succeeded. Go on.
But if you think about it, you know, how far could he have thrown it, and how long would that have occupied the T-Rex? Probably not super long. Maybe long enough to run away. It's hard to say. But all he does,
if you wonder if they had stuck with the original audio that they had chosen for the T-Rex, which was a dog.
That is kind of what it looks like with its.
Oh, I will hug him and squeeze him and name him George. And then they realized, wait, we can't use this audio. His arms are too small to hug anything. We're going to have to go with like a walrus and a tiger mixed.
Okay, let's move on to other characters. So we talked about Gennaro. He's just kind of like,
I want to say Hammond for the end, by the way. I just want to say that.
He's got Gennaro does like, he's, you know, a Weasley lawyer, but he's definitely just like, yeah, money. Oh yeah, money. I get it.
He feels very much like Jaws, like, oh, the terrible characters need to die. The terrible characters need to suffer. Anyone who showed hubris will be destroyed. Like that's
he literally represents the investors, which I guess would be Engine, which we learn about later. But
correct.
Like he already is not on like this moralistic ground or something. He's just there to be like, protect their investment. Is this going to lose money? Then we need to shut it down.
It's interesting because at first he is bringing in Malcolm, but the investors want him and Malcolm there, and he is very much like sort of stern, surprisingly stern with Hammond.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't like a tourist vacation. We are here to inspect the viability of this park, and if they're not satisfied by the end of the weekend, I'm not satisfied. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, someone's going to stick it to this old fuck.
Yeah.
He's a fuck for moralistic and ethical reasons, not because he's old. I don't want to come off as ageist right there.
Thank you.
Thank you
for saying that.
Me.
Just sexist, not ageist.
And then, I mean, just like the complete bastard that he is, the minute he sees the brachiosaur at the beginning, he's like, we're going to make so much money off this place.
Yeah.
But he is a rule follower, so I am sympathetic to him. When they break the Mr. DNA ride, he's like, I don't think we're supposed to do that. Which I could almost hear if a character hadn't said that, I would have said that in 1994 in the theater. Like, excuse me, everyone, the ride is not complete yet.
You're going to hurt yourself. Not on the dinosaurs, but on the slow-moving ride.
Why do we even need the bars? It just sort of shifts slowly.
Do you want to talk about the kids?
Yes. Yeah. I do think the actors themselves are both really good.
Yeah.
I like them both generally. I like them more the older I get. I think I was a little annoyed with them because they were so fucking cool when I was a kid.
You think you're so cool.
You think you're so cool, Tim, because you read a dinosaur book. Lex is, it does feel like Lex is a little bit of the Meg Griffin of this movie, where the movie just keeps shitting on her over and over and over again. Like, she gets sneezed on by a brachiosaur for literally no reason that I can ascertain. Like, it just seems like, what if we just dropped her in a bunch of mud? Like, fuck this girl. And it feels like the vegetarianism feels like a little bit of a punchline. And I'm like, guys, we're dealing with vegans these days. I would take a vegetarian any day of the week. Oh, you still eat cheese? Oh, this is totally easy.
Cake.
Luckily,
we spare no expense.
You're not making a big deal of what honey I purchased? Great.
Yeah, the sneeze thing is also like, we don't know what kind of diseases that thing has.
That's a good point. And that mucus went in her mouth.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about me.
I don't like dinosaur mucus in my mouth.
I don't like mucus in general. Mucus is like one of the few visceral body fluids that actually just on sight makes me want to Ralph. we were at a Chewy's, Tex-Mex restaurant
I'm familiar.
earlier this week, and there were blinds on the windows, and I could see hanging from the blinds.
No, you didn't.
What could only be described
Brachiosaurus mucus
as a brachiosaur bogey hanging off of there. And all I want to do, because my 8-year-old brain was like, tell everyone you can. Make everyone look at it, because you're grossed out. Everyone else's dinner should be ruined as well. But it's all I could stare at. And then I also have a sense memory once of my friend David when I was a tween, blowing his nose, and he said, "Hey, when he blew his nose like somewhere else, and then like he came in with a fist, and he was like, 'Hey, I want to show you something,' and he showed me the open tissue, and I almost threw up, which is weird."
That's not weird.
I could watch someone throw up in front of me and be like, someone needs to get that person some help. But boogers, I'm like, gross. We should all just burn this room to the ground. Disgusting.
I think Lex does get a little shunned, but I think she's a really interesting character because they make her she's a hacker. She helps she saves the day. At the end, she helps them figure out the door locks. Gives them at least a little bit of of help or a few minutes of respite from the attacking raptors. She also
a little bit of a respite.
Yeah,
she's the queen of the raptors. Hey guys, come on! We've been going at it for like 2 hours.
This was
Union says we get a 15-minute break.
The ages were reversed in the book, and so
you have a lot more memories of the book than I do.
The boy was older, and he was also the same characteristics as Lex. Like, he was the smart one. He was a hacker.
Interesting.
And so that makes the little girl Lex in the book does nothing. She's she's
just around for the ride.
Just around. Whereas Tim, in this movie, he has a lot of really funny lines. He gets he's not like you said, John McClane, but he's he's an active character.
Kids are made out of rubber bands and cardboard. They can take a lot of stuff. He got electrocuted. He got thrown into a tree. He fell out of a tree, had a car drop on top of him.
And then he's cracking wise at the bottom. And we're back in the car again. I like trees. You weren't in the last one.
The wise that Tim Hammond can.
I like the kids in this. I think they do a great job. I think the actors do a great job. Lex's screaming run to close the freezer door when the raptors are attacking, which, by the way, that is my scene. That is my nomination for
the raptors in the kitchen.
Award. Yeah, because that scene is incredible, just all around. But yeah, she's screaming with her arms completely out straight.
It's a reverse Woody
every time. Yeah, it is.
All her limbs are completely rigid, rather than Woody's just noodle arms. No, that is, I do have a sense memory of her running like that. I like that. I also remember that when she falls through the ceiling, when they're crawling through the ceiling tiles, and she falls, the stunt woman who was playing Lex for that shot looked up accidentally, which is stunt woman? No.
101.
And this is one of the first times where they're like, why don't we just cut out Ariana Richards' face and just paste it on the stunt woman? And they did. And it still kind of works.
It's still kind of that. And then the scene where Laura Dern is running away from, who's the guy, the clever girl. He's running away from
Muldoon.
The raptors from Muldoon. And it's very clearly a cut to a stunt person, with a wig, a very bad. It's that's not Laura Dern's hair. Even in an action scene, her hair looks better than that. But that's the first time I ever noticed it in a movie, because I people point out these things all the time. I'm just I'm exactly what they want, which is I'm watching her leg almost get hit by snapped up by the Velociraptor. I'm not watching her face. And the same thing in that.
I'm not watching how many units she's got clipped into her hair.
Yeah. But what I really like about the kids in this is that they're obviously in need of rescue a lot of times because they're children and they're being attacked by dinosaurs, but they also are very active participants. They make choices. They have their own sort of arcs that happen, even if they're just kind of get rescued.
I also feel like, Tim, they feel like kids.
Yeah.
They don't feel overly precocious, which is what usually turns me off about kids in movies. I'm like, stop talking like an adult, please, you grosso. I like that. I mean, Tim is into dinosaurs, and that is, as we established in our intro, very much a kid thing.
Yeah.
So that tracks. And I feel like when they're talking to Alan Grant, they're very kid-like.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you going to do now that you don't have to dig up dinosaurs anymore? And they talk like kids talk. They talk in a way that kids understand the world, and I feel like that really works. I do want to point out, since we already have called out Dr. Malcolm's Heaving Bosom, I also want to call out another patron of the show, Zachary Hartley, who was and is a computer nerd and taught me what a Unix system was. And by taught me what a Unix system was, what I mean is he taught me that a Unix system exists and is a thing. And so when she says, it's a Unix system, I know this. I'm like, that is a computer system. That's correct, Lex. As let me mansplain the Unix systems to you. Which apparently just means boxes in a giant map. And that you click on them.
It's very
Some of the
similar
ones she clicks on, I'm like, that's obviously not going to be you clicked on bathrooms. That's obviously not going to be the door locks across the park.
Unix system is basically Doom. You're just like walking around.
But if you get to the right room, you can get like Hitler is in a robot mech suit.
Oh, yeah.
That's Castle Wolfenstein, guys. That's a different game.
Completely different.
Let's talk about Dennis Nedry.
Oh, yeah.
Nedry, Seinfeld.
Like Newman. I get it.
You get it.
I love this character. I think he's incredible. Not like he's a nice guy, but
no, I don't want to build a corporation with him. I'll tell you that.
It starts with the Dodgson scene. Dodgson, we got a Dodgson here, which is fantastic. He's a disgruntled employee. He actually, I think he's a dick about it. He doesn't go out of the right way, but he seems to have a point because this entire park is built on his work and his work alone. Lauren even was like, yeah, maybe you should have had more than one developer work on this. But also he's a complete jerk about it. And
he is a jackass, and I have met many a jackass who are very good at computers.
And let me say this for the record, for the police that are listening. Corporate espionage, holy shit.
You can't even get it out because you don't believe in what you're saying.
Corporate espionage is never the answer. And I think you and I can both agree on the record right now that's
as an employee of a corporation, I agree.
But there's, I guess, a subplot that got cut, and I think it's more close to, I don't remember the book part of it.
He falls in love with a dinosaur.
Yeah, where he and the Dilophosaurus actually go off together, and they have little spitting babies. But no, it
supports traditional marriage, yes.
In the subplot,
female.
In the cut subplot, there's a John Hammond docks his pay or undercuts his pay or something. There's something, and there's actually a lawsuit or something like that. There's a whole thing that I'm glad that they cut.
As a part of his backstory, there is they establish.
I don't know how far it got in the. I don't know how far it got in the script, but that was actually part of a thing because Hammond is a lot more nefarious in the book. He's actually more of a straight up bad guy, and we'll get to that more later. But in this, he's a little bit more hey, we agreed to a price, you agreed to a thing. But very obviously, this is beyond the scope of what Nedry agreed to. So it's
people who hire you for things always love to say, we agreed to a price, we agreed to a thing. And then you realize what the thing is. And you're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I am a lot more sympathetic to Dennis Nedry in this viewing than in past viewings for all the reasons you said. It seems like he's being shit upon. Also, just process mapping, also coming from a corporate world. It's just a bad idea to have one guy in charge of any aspect of your company. Because if that guy gets sick, if he goes on parental leave,
he sells all your embryos.
If he steals all your embryos, which also become eggs, which also he sells to your competitors.
Oof.
What are you going to do? you really want to make sure that everyone has process knowledge so that if someone is out, another person can pick up their work.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that's the case, especially when there's a tropical depression headed towards your island.
Can we talk
Wayne
about the
Knight,
embryo?
I think does.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go.
I just wanted to say Wayne Knight
Yeah.
does a great job.
He's great.
I feel like there are a few fat jokes sprinkled in.
Yeah,
Not a lot of them, but enough where I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
They talk about him, when he goes missing, John Hammond says, check the vending machines.
He did say he was going to the vending machine, but it is
True,
very
but
much.
it feels like a little bit like fat coded. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
oh, these fat people with their
Yeah.
vending machines.
Yeah.
Also, we meet him while he's eating. But I mean, Wayne Knight is just a really great.
He's so
when I
He's
think
an
about
asshole.
Wayne Knight, like, I don't know if it's just luck. I mean, he's a talented character actor, but like, he is in some primo 90s ephemera. He is Newman on Seinfeld. He is Nedry in Jurassic Park. He's in JFK. He's in Basic Instinct. Like, I feel like the 90s are... He is the Cloud Atlas of the 90s. Everything stems from Wayne Knight. Space Jam, another one.
Oh yeah.
Space Jam.
Friend of the
He
show.
does the only
3 times
funny
over.
joke in Space Jam where they talk about all the corporate, ad stuff that Michael Jordan does.
It's true.
Wow.
The cold
Wayne Knight, if you
storage.
want to be a guest on the show, just
come
let us
on,
know.
come on by. The cold storage scene, the embryos that he steals, is like MCU cameos of like other dinosaurs that we don't get to see.
That is actually quite accurate. Because we do see your Stegosaurus. It's the one appearance of Stegosaurus
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It does feel like when they finally appear in Lost World, because I think there's also Stegosaurus in the book Jurassic Park. Stegosaurus actually appears.
I think I don't remember.
And it does feel like when they appear in Lost World, it was like, we know you all wanted to see Stegosaurus, so here they are. That is, oh my God, the MCU is, yes. and I'd be the one guy who's never heard of dinosaurs leaning into you at the theater like, who's Stegosaurus?
Who's that guy? Who's that guy?
And you'd be
That's
like,
an
okay, so
Ankylosaurus.
so in oh no, I can't remember any Marvel storylines anymore.
So in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we'll go back to the Cretaceous period.
I was trying Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's what I
There
was
you
trying
go,
to think
yeah.
of. So in Crisis of Infinite Earths, Stegosaurus appears, and he's got plate powers on his back. So
Yeah.
don't ask.
Unless you want to read the whole series again.
I do remember also from the book that Nedry's death is the one that stuck with me the most because, like Alan Grant describes, he gets killed not by Dilophosaurus, he gets killed by raptors, and he feels his own intestines as he dies. And that always stuck with, for some reason, that stuck with my 10-year-old brain. Always stuck with me.
We're almost to Hammond. Do we need to touch on Samuel
Do you want to talk
Jackson?
about Muldoon and Arnold?
Yeah.
I mean, this is very early Samuel L. Jackson. This may be my first Samuel L. Jackson role.
Yeah, maybe.
Hang
Yeah.
on to your butts. Hold on to your butts.
I think it's the hold on to your butts.
Of course.
His first
Don't hang on to
appearance
them.
as a PA speaker, because he's like, if you want to go to the last ferry is leaving now or whatever. Oh, that's Samuel L. Jackson. He doesn't get that much to do. He's kind of the number 2 or something. I don't know the hierarchy of.
Yeah, I don't know if
Jurassic Park,
he would usually, if Hammond's not around, he would be running
He's
that
like operations
internal
manager.
operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but he's just kind of like a little bit of a another. Why can't I think of the phrase I want?
Lackey. Toady.
No,
bootlicker.
he's just another like voice of reason when things are going wrong, where he's like, "Oh, we should do this" or whatever. But he's very obviously somewhat competent, I guess. Like he's not. It's hard to tell one way or the other. He does
seem
his
fairly
life.
competent. It seems like he doesn't have the breadth of knowledge that Nedry has.
Yeah.
But, we see him like competently doing things.
Yeah.
He basically has to, because Nedry's code is so involved, he has to shut down the entire park and reboot it, essentially, which he does. He seems competent, but it seems like there's such an over-reliance on Nedry that it's very idiosyncratic to how Nedry codes. Not to mention probably Nedry covering his own fucking tracks in there. And so Arnold can't get shit back on track. Now, our last vision of him is his, right arm severed from the rest of his body?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Why did I do hang 10?
Keeping that toned, though. That arm looks good.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's veiny in all the right places. Let's talk about Muldoon, because he does get...
The only black guy gets murdered, so, that's not great.
Yeah, but he's not the first murder.
That's true.
It was a brown person in the first scene.
An unnamed worker.
Unlined brown person.
Yeah.
Costa Rican national, no doubt. And then Muldoon, I think, also is kind of an interesting character in that he's almost like a big game hunter that they hired to be on site for some reason.
And he's like, his first line to our heroes is, they should all, what did he say? They should all be destroyed. And he's like kind of smirking, but he's being serious. Like he actually is like, we need to shut all of this down. But he's like, I'm not going to quit or anything. But
I'll still get my paycheck. I filled out a fucking W-4 or whatever.
He does seem like kind of fascinated by the raptors and like kind of impressed and wants to hunt them as a big game hunter would. And when he gets the opportunity, hey, guess what? He loses.
He's not good at it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't learn. He wasn't there at the Badlands when we learned how raptors hunt.
Clever girl. He gets a lot of lines because he gets shoot her, which is what I get. And then he gets clever girl. And then they remember. Why is that one I quote?
That is a weird one because that's not one I remember, but that you remember.
I remember. I use almost all of the lines in this movie one time or another.
I had forgot. I didn't realize because he gives a line early on that I didn't realize was something I'm supposed to remember. Where he says when they introduced one of the female raptors, well, they're all females. She kills all the other raptors except for 2.
Yeah.
Which is the movie telling us there are 3 raptors in the movie.
Yes.
And that's why when there's like a scene, I think once Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler are at the internal operations building, they're like, where's the other raptor? They're wondering where the other ones are.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 accounted for. Where's the third one? And I didn't realize, like, oh, they only have so many. Except for that baby raptor that B.D. Wong was holding.
Yeah.
Let's talk about John Hammond.
Yeah. God.
I really fucking hate him this viewing. I think in the year of our Lord, 2025, my patience for John Hammond is fucking out the window. Get fucked, muchacho. I do not want you around.
What is it about modern day that makes you think like a pretty incompetent, overconfident billionaire is going to ruin everything?
One that will consign us all to death.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to try something. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, the end of the world? Fuck off.
Yeah.
You Scottish bastard.
He's so charming as an actor that I think it's a perfect portrayal because
it is an insidious portrayal. It's very well done. I completely agree, but it is insidious in his charisma, his riz, and his charm. He has that. I mean, he literally played Santa Claus like 2 years after this.
Yeah,
he is very charming, effervescent, and then the more I learn about him, and the more I've had to suffer under the regime of actual billionaires like him, who also were the darlings of the media for a while.
Yeah.
Fuck off, feed him to the wood chipper. Just throw him in with the cow to the raptor paddock. Who cares? Don't feed the goat to the tyrannosaur. Feed John Hammond to him. I do appreciate the older I get, like that he dies in the book. He gets eaten by compies in the book, yes, that is where he deserves to go.
Correct. I think
Even though in the book he is crueler,
yes,
but I think he is just as evil in both iterations. In fact, he might be more evil in this because he is so charming and kindly. Fuck off, John Hammond.
It's not even characterization that's different between. I'm sure there's some of that I don't remember as well, the characterization of him in the book. There's just more details about his doings, in the book. And so I bet a lot of those, if we were to kind of like draw outside the lines of this movie, would be the same or similar. Because that is,
well, I mean, he's a charlatan. We kind of get the idea that he's a charlatan. His original like big money thing was a flea circus, as we of course alluded to in the incomparable Patreon ad. One day I'll learn that it's Patreon and not patron.
It's not important to anyone.
But yeah, he's an absolute charlatan, just with a lot of fucking money. Relatable. And I kept thinking of two things. Of course, I kept thinking of Elon Musk. And in fact, I watched A Perfect Union has a video that just came out this week, so a few months old by the time this comes out, but about how SpaceX is, doing their rockets in the Gulf of America, in Brownsville, Texas. Sorry. It's what Google Maps says. They're launching their rockets there, and how the city of Brownsville, Texas has been harmed by this. By the fact that there are earthquakes in Brownsville, Texas, every time there's a launch. Dust from the launches just spreads all across this town. The ecological damage from the birds and the turtles that nest in the Gulf of Mexico in that area are devastated because they've, blown up several rockets that never actually got off the fucking ground. So, I mean, that devastates the environment there. And I kept thinking of John Hammond while I was watching. I was like, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. And I also kept thinking of, do you know this guy, Brian Johnson? He is a tech
AC/DC?
bro. I'm afraid not.
Okay.
He's a tech bro who is into longevity science.
Nice.
He wants to... a lot of the headlines always refer to him as wanting to live forever.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever actually said that, but I was thinking about him because there's a new documentary called Don't Die on Netflix about him, and they sort of follow him around for a few months. And he's very good, and I think this is a talent of various people these days. I think a lot of people are very good at couching the selfish, narcissistic thing they were going to do anyway in psychological or scientific or even just like political language that makes it seem like they're doing something for the greater good.
Yeah.
But it's really just the shit they wanted to do anyway. And I think Brian Johnson is really good at this. And I think John Hammond is also good at this, where it's like, no, I'm doing this for science. Yeah. And with Brian Johnson, like, he's not actually like running like any scientific experiments that meet the scientific method. He's just taking a bunch of supplements and doing a bunch of experiments on his own body. So at best, we know how to keep a Brian Johnson alive for 150 years, but we don't know how to keep anyone else alive. Yeah. And I think they're the same way, like John Hammond couches this in this idea of like, no, I'm doing this for science. I'm like, no, you fuck. You opened an amusement park. You could have spread your wealth to like scientists and given grants and all this stuff, but you built a profit-making experience. And yeah, you can have coupon day every once in a while, but it's still a profit-generating thing. You're still a fucking capitalist in the end. You can couch it in Mr. DNA all you want, but it's an amusement park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get fucked.
And I love the approach that's just very apropos of like his spared no expense. He keeps saying spared no expense, but he's obviously spared expenses on the internal workings, on treating his workers.
On Dennis
Nedry, but probably not just Dennis Nedry. He's the only example that we have, but like, how well is Mr. Arnold being paid? You know what I mean? Like, like, is he compensating people? It's not just like how much they're getting, but like what obviously he's putting the attention, the monetary attention where he thinks he needs to sell, which is very corporate. There's this very, capitalist
Look at
forward
this
thing.
beautiful welcome center we have. Look at these beautiful paddocks we have. Look at all this stuff.
Yeah.
But on the back end, when you get actually to those internal operations room, it's not very fancy in there.
Yeah.
And it's a very threadbare
There's
operation.
3 full-time people working there, whatever. Yeah. And Nedry even says that, I built a system where very minimal staff can run it at all times from this room. And it's like, I'm not sure you should be doing that with something of this scope. And also the whole theme of this of this movie, I think, is applicable to what's happening with a lot of things, but AI specifically, where they're like, hey, there's a way to do this. And the reason that the scientific method exists is not because scientists are a bunch of fucking nerds, which they are, of course. But
I mean that in the nicest way possible.
It's that this is what vets information. This is what lets us actually make a conclusion that's worth a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And why it's important to do these steps, even though they're annoying, even though they're costly, even though they take a long time. And that's exactly what we're like, oh, no, I'll just skip that. And I'm like, we know what happens if you skip it. It's the worst thing of whatever you're exploring, because you're making it happen by skipping the necessary steps.
How many times in world history has a Tyrannosaurus gotten loose because some venture capitalists wanted to just get
at
things
least
done?
6 and upcoming 7th time.
Stop building these theme parks.
Thank you for the emphasis clap. Stop building theme parks based on
I need a drag
animals.
queen to come in here and clap on sync as I say stop building these theme parks. Don't forget, in Jurassic World, Jimmy Fallon is culpable. He has blood on his hands.
Right. It's his fault.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Before we get to go to verdict, I want to talk about Spielberg, because...
Now, is that a character in this, or...?
Yeah, it's one of the dinosaurs. It's a nickname for the Ankylosaurus.
The Spielbergosaurus.
Yeah.
It's too wordy. Just call him Spielberg.
This is one of the best examples of the Spielberg shot, where we for a long time before we see that first Brachiosaurus, we are on our characters. We're on Gennaro. We're on Alan Grant. We're on Dr. Sadler. And we're on Malgo. And we got to see them all looking in various states of awe. He turns Dr. Sadler's head because she's not paying attention. She's paying attention to the extinct leaf. I love it. Spielberg, there's so many iconic shots in this too. It's so obvious now. This is obviously a very well decorated movie, a very well regarded movie, but it's just, you can really go for those shots and not nail it. But every single one is nailed in this movie. The shot of the T-Rex's foot coming down in the mud, the T-Rex's eye in the car window, the raptor breathing on the fogging up the glass.
Yeah.
The whole kitchen scene with the raptors. It's so good. The only one that I think is a little too cheesy for me is at the very end. The T-Rex. Well, first of all, the T-Rex ex machina coming in is a little. I'm for it as an ending, just because it's this is great. Even though you're you know what? I don't care by this point. I'm ready to go home. This is great.
I agree. And I feel like that is, in essence, camp. It is. That is that moment. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. I accept it on its face. I will not dig into this. I do see,
but the banner is where that's too much. That's too much.
Icing on the cake. There is no such thing as too much. Once we have entered into the realm of camp, bring it on. Banners flying over. I remember. I forgot to mention. This is the first movie I've ever been inside.
I'm sorry. What?
Your Honor, strike that for the record.
Did you guys
don't say you've been inside it. I wasn't a date so much, but we were on an app, and I was like, Jurassic Park, show me your compy pics. But this is the first movie I've ever been seen in the theater where, when that happened, when the T-Rex came out of fucking nowhere, the audience cheered.
Yeah.
And clapped. And I know there are people that hate that. It's so stupid. We're in a movie. It's not a play.
Right.
Why are you clapping?
No one
There's
can hear
something
you.
about that, and I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before. I unabashedly love it, because I feel like it's this weird lizard brain moment where I'm like, I don't know how to react to this, but I just want to clap because I'm having so much fun. I know that Steven Spielberg isn't here. I know the actor playing the T-Rex isn't here, but I want to let them know that I'm appreciating what they're doing. I love it when people clap in movies.
Little known fact, Spielberg was at every showing of Jurassic Park in the initial theater
He was
run.
there next to me and Irene Bennett when we went to see it.
Sweeping up with a little...
I
dustpan.
love the When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth banner. I'm like, give it to me. Yes. Gravy on top. Gravy on top of the gravy. Who cares? I do realize, because I know this has been picked over many times, there is some sort of tarp in the Welcome Center, and you can see daylight coming through it. And I think that's their sort of like, this is how the T-Rex got in here.
Yeah, right.
Although it's like, the Welcome Center seems pretty built since you're putting things into it. You're putting bones as a decoration into it. You wouldn't do that when there's still a wing needing to be built. But I feel like that's their something to get in here.
Yeah, see?
I love that. What else were we talking about?
Well, the T-Rex attacked, and then the banner was...
The banner.
Yeah.
Yes, I
The Spielberg shot was the other thing.
The Spielberg shots, I do really appreciate. I know you want to nominate the kitchen scene for the Sally Field Award. There's part of me, and call me a basic bitch, send me to hell. But that T-Rex scene, like, while I was watching it, I'm like, everything about this is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Every moment from what happened to the goat to them, even though it makes no sense that there's suddenly a cliff face on the other side of that thing. It's such a well done scene that's genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
Those kids like sinking into the mud. I'm like, oh my God, even though I know they're going to be fine. I'm like, can you imagine being in an upside down car that's being pushed on by a 2-ton fucking dinosaur and it's sinking into the mud? And I remember the first time I realized that pupil dilation scene was iconic. Not that, I mean, it was in every trailer for this movie, but I remember watching the Simpsons episode where Bart gets an elephant and they open the curtains when someone drops off the elephant and the elephant's eye is right there and it dilates. And I'm like, wow. Everyone else noticed that scene as well, did they?
You did have an elephant, Bart. You named him Stampy, and you loved him very much. Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to call him Stampy. And some animals, Mrs. Simpson, are just jerks.
I also want to shout out
I won't cry myself to sleep if because the kitchen scene is also fantastic.
It is true.
And the Velociraptors are like the Chekhov's gun of this movie, where it's like, well, I hope no one's released the Velociraptors at all. And even Nedry is like, well, I'm not going to release them. I'm not insane.
Yeah.
And then they do.
I think it's hard to like say which one's better, but I'm happy to give it to the T-Rex scene too, because we can grab a lot more screenshots from it.
That's a good point.
But
on my end, for the guy who has to grab all the screenshots. As big as you have them, please Google image search.
The car and the tree scene right after this, coming right after the T-Rex is just like, I'm bored. He doesn't even like get defeated. He's like,
I feel like he's more like, you fucking wasted my time.
She's like,
I'm gonna push this car into the tree.
There are more delectable flesh people around somewhere. I'm gonna go find them. But they're in the car, and then they like immediately, it's one of those out of the frying pan into the fire things that you're like, have this whole other action sequence, which is also incredibly well done. Like the fact that it's right after that is incredible. Like, it's just so good. So
I remember relating a lot to Tim going, I threw up, and being ashamed.
Yeah.
Like, I threw up. I'm a failure.
That whole scene and Dr. Grant being like,
sweet.
The most important thing is that you don't look down. And he's like, I looked down. And I'm like, oh God. Like, they both look down. Oh, it's so good. Did your dad ever build you a treehouse? He's like, no, divorce. But
also related to that, because I was like, I'm not getting in a tree. I could break my leg.
Alan Grant's like, oh, me neither. I just like that. Very good. Shall we go to the verdict? You can say more things than the verdict.
You're absolutely right. Let's go there. Let's go there now.
Let's take the gas-powered Jeep.
I love that they keep saying it. Let's take the gas-powered Jeep. I've got a gas-powered Jeep over here. It's like, okay, guys, congratulations.
They didn't want a bunch of nerds later being like, the power was out. How did they run those Jeeps? They were different Jeeps. They were
electric Jeeps, but they were on zip lines so they could get to any place in the park.
Okay, I'm going first.
Yeah, I want you to. I couldn't be more pleased.
I would take your resistance to this declaration, but I think this is a near perfect movie, and your inner child is not an idiot. I'm just saying, if you said here are the reasons it's not perfect,
the hell did I say to you earlier that makes you think?
No, I'm just saying, if you said here are some imperfections, I would talk about them and accept them. But it's nearly just like, it is a perfect popcorn movie. It's still, I've seen this so many times, and it's still tense in the right scenes. It's still funny in the right scenes. I quote it all the time. Lauren and I were I'm trying to remember where we were, but we were somewhere where there was like a Jurassic Park connection. We decided to see how many quotes we could work in. We were in Hawaii, and so we were like, oh, how many can we work in a regular conversation? And it was, I basically she had to tell me to stop, because it was like, there's like too many. And then they're like, now you're just saying normal things that anyone would say that happen to be in the movie. But it's great. Spielberg's great. The score is amazing. The acting is great. This is one that makes me feel the same as it did when I was a kid. Like everything holds up. The shots hold up. They did enough filming in the dark of the T-Rex that it worked out perfectly. Your inner child's not an idiot. This is great. What do you think?
Thank you.
Thank you for muting your laughing so that
I realized when I was laughing so hard and I was on mute that I was like, I bet I look insane right
People
now.
only listen. They only want to hear me talking, not you reacting to me talking.
I am going to use my verdict time to talk about the things I didn't get a chance to talk about.
Okay.
I know you said to keep it tight, so
yeah, we have
that's
not
why
done that.
I want to.
We have not done that.
I want to combine my reaction to the movie and my verdict. See how I'm keeping everything tight?
You're doing great.
This is a great movie. Your Inner Child's not an idiot. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah.
I like that. Like we've alluded to, I feel like the movie doesn't shy away from making these monsters as gimmicky as they could have been. It doesn't shy away from making them genuinely terrifying. I feel like there could have been a lot of like, but isn't this so cool? And at no point am I like, no, this is terrifying. Don't do this, everyone. Even like whatever age I was, 12-year-old me was like, no, absolutely not.
A point that all the subsequent movies missed.
Exactly. Like every other movie is like, but aren't dinosaurs kind of cool? I'm like, no, you have missed the point of your own premise. You got high on your own supply, Jurassic Park movies.
It happens. Seeds and stems.
I do want to point out one thing that I wanted to bring up during our main reaction, which is, and we alluded to this when we talked to Dr. Doughty, which is that even though this movie is set off the coast of Costa Rica, there are little to no Costa Ricans in it, as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
And while I think that is an omission of the movie, thematically, I think it's very appropriate.
Right.
In that, yeah, it does feel like a bunch of rich Americans would buy an island off the coast of Costa Rica and then keep a bunch of Costa Ricans off of it.
Yeah.
And then when the environmental damage happens, fuck you, Costa Rica. Peace. We got to get out of here. I just wanted to say that. Here's some things I really liked. The raptors are really cute, even though they're murderous beasts. I like that they tap their toes when they're impatient.
A little Morse code.
But here's the other thing. And Tyler pointed this out to me. And I just want, in case my mother, father, and or brother are listening, there is a moment at the end when one of the raptors pops his head and he's sort of
under the tarp,
partially under a tarp. And Tyler turned to me and he said, that's kind of like when you were a kid and you would sing Me, Mary, Me, Mary. And I was like, oh my God, that's absolutely correct. Now allow me to tell you guys what that means. When I was a kid.
I already know this. You haven't told me this, but I already know how this is going to go.
We had a blue felt blanket that, was just sort of like one of the go-to blankets that you could grab around the house in case you're cold. And I would wrap it around my head. and I would go up to members of my family and sing a song of my own composition. And I would go, it was titled Me Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sing, me Mary, bum, 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 bum. And it came with a little butt shake. And Tyler reminded me that the raptor is doing
Me Mary.
Me Mary.
Yeah.
Just in case you're curious, like, who's Mary? The Virgin Mary.
Right.
Just so you're aware. That's who I'm referring to.
I bet that killed with your parents.
Mother of our God, Mary.
I bet that killed with your parents, didn't it?
They fucking loved it. Even though technically I'm doing a drag performance.
Oh. Not in public,
Deal
not in
with
front of
that,
children.
Phyllis.
Yeah.
Deal with that, Phyllis. Well, I was a kid doing it. Where did I pick it up?
Ooh.
Probably going to drag performances myself.
You went to one of those brunches and it corrupted you forever.
I went to drag brunch. I had a grapefruit mimosa and realized the drag is for me.
Yeah.
But Catholic drag. Anyway, this movie is great. I mean, it's one of those movies where, kind of like Silence of the Lambs, where the actual the source of the movie, the adaptation, is like, it's a good book. It's a fun book, but I feel like the movie really brings it into its own, and having it at the hands of someone like Steven Spielberg, who's like, don't worry, I know exactly what I'm doing, is a real treat. And for all the faults that we talked about with while we were with Dana, and even in our reactions here, it's just really good. And I'm in the same boat as you. I have the same reactions as I did when I was a kid, where I'm really excited that the T-Rex is the hero because he was my favorite dinosaur, but I'm still fucking terrified of him and keeping a respectful distance from him. Or her. Hashtag feminism.
Her. Sorry, now I'm just picturing you in Yellowstone, keeping a respectful distance from the Grizzlies. I forgot what I was going to say. It was going to be mostly about Me Mary.
It's a good song. Me Mary. Bum, 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 bum. Unfortunately, all of our blankets in our house are warm colors, but
So you
not
can't do
red. Which, I mean, I could get away with a red blanket wrapped around because in medieval times, they associated Mary with the color red. That's why ladybugs get their name. The lady they're referring to is Mary. But we don't have any blue blankets in the house, which is a real shame. So I can't do a Me Mary in my own home as an adult. Is this the America I voted for? I voted for Trump so I could Me Mary in my own home. I didn't know he would fire all the federal employees and not allow me to Me Mary in my own home.
I never thought the
leopards would eat my face.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but now I can't remember what it was.
Was it about the Virgin Mary?
I don't think it was.
That's weird because we were talking about Jurassic Park, so it feels only natural that you would address the virgin birth or the Immaculate Conception, which is Mary's birth, common misconception.
You were talking about before, just walking all over that.
No, you are absolutely right.
We're going to cut all this eventually.
No, keep it.
Don't listen to him.
Keep
Rob,
it.
do not listen to him.
Keep it.
Rob.
Listen
Thank
to
you.
me.
Thank you for,
how
first
we've
of all,
never emailed, so this is our first. This is our first impression. You wanted the first impression for you to ignore my claims?
First of all, thank you for all of your hard work, and I'm sorry this is so long. Secondly, do not listen to him. I want to find what I was going to say and then decide if it was worth saying. Okay, so before Me Mary, we were talking about...
what a sentence. Go on.
You were talking about...
The virgin birth. Raptors and tarps. Toe tapping.
Toe tapping. Are you talking about...
T-Rexes being my favorite dinosaur, and I love that he was the hero.
Yeah. I don't know, it's gone. What do you think, everybody? Email us, yourinnerchildsandidiot@gmail.com. You can text us or leave us a voicemail, 615-576-0525. We want to thank Dr. Dana Duddle. Thank you,
Dr. Dana
so
Duddle.
much for bringing actual knowledge to this podcast for the first time And
I still have
Whenever you're ready.
Space Invaders on one of my tabs. I just want you to know that I'm opening a new tab so that I can keep Space Invaders open, and I'm going to look into it.
yeah. I bet some memories will come flooding back.
No, I have, to quote Gandalf the Grey, I have no memory of this place.
Tell me when you're in there. Tell me
I'm
when
here,
you're
but
inside.
I think you and I both know who should be the top.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Don't say the top. Who should be the top? Don't say that.
Thank you to our patrons for supporting the show, including
yes, Dr. Malcolm's Heaving Bosom.
Yes, also just cuz.
Yes, well now you see Lindsay Halik.
Travis Vance. That weird laugh he does. Sorry. Good.
I'm going to start talking loud and then we're going to talk quiet. Lindsay, Nell.
You had a Jeremy Powlen, but you didn't think if you should.
And, yes, Tommy Boy is my favorite movie.
Particle man.
Yes, the supreme ruler of this podcast.
Oh, shit. That's a big pile of shit on the cartouche.
Karen Curd.
Caroline? Amberson.
Demons Street Saint.
Tippi von Cheaterly.
A new name.
A new name for an old patron. old as in loyal and long-term strategy.
The elusive, yes, fan Gromkin.
Josh Frigo.
Jackson has an unhealthy obsession with Damon.
Do you want to handle this next one since he's attached to this one?
This is a Unix system. I know this. Zachary Hartley.
T. Smith.
Be careful, we're venturing into Captain Kirk territory. Bill, yes, Haynes.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Beth, Surmont.
I do a lot of impressions for someone who cannot do impressions.
You're nailing it. Everything you're doing is great.
Heather Tuggle.
Jonathon Day.
Hizoner the Mayor.
Little Miss Chicken Nugget.
Larissa Maestro.
The Zesty.
The Hands of Fate.
And of course, David Mort.
Thank you all very much, and sorry.
Thank
you for supporting the show.
I'm glad we kept it tight. You were telling me at the beginning of this episode that we needed to keep it tight. I'm glad we chose to do Jeff Goldblum as our voice for the patrons.
If you want to support like them, patreon.com/YourInnerChild's an Idiot. Let's end the show. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye forever.
Goodbye. It's a podcast.
It's fun to have microphones.